All right, we are live. Welcome everybody to FMA discussion episode 51. Tonight we have Maestro Carlito, and tonight we're going to be discussing the Cabales system. And before that, though, your father's system, which
Dean, I lost audio there.
you can't hear me.
I can't hear you.
All right, try coming back in. That's huh. Okay, I'm gonna have you. What is that going on? I'm gonna have you come back in. Okay. Yeah, have you all right. Remove. It's already starting. Let's see. Okay, we're just waiting for Maestro to come aboard. And we'll be good. The test run went well and all that. So we should be hopefully good to go. Okay. All right. I got the message, so it should be shortly. Hey, here we go. And here we go. Hi there, can you hear me now?
Now I can hear you.
Yeah, sometimes you just gotta come back in for whatever reason there. I apologize for that.
No problem.
So how are you? How's it going?
Oh, I'm great, sir. Having a wonderful weekend. Yeah, I really like spent it with the family.
Oh,
Yeah,
all right.
yeah. So, but a lot of house cleaning and stuff like that.
Yeah. So what's I always like to just to get kind of nosy. I like to just to see what's going on in each state as far as the COVID situation. So what's your guys' status out there?
Oh, right now, we're still there's still a lot of business that are not allowed to function yet. I mean, to open.
Mm,
You are allowed to like the martial arts schools that are opening. They're teaching outside. You know, whether it's at the park on their parking lot, and
okay.
yeah, and so the indoor businesses are closed, except for the major ones like Walmart and those guys. They get to stay open.
Yeah,
It's
sounds
the little guy
similar.
down the street that gets to hurt. So
Yeah, it sounds like what we got going on here in Connecticut. Like the gyms are open in schools, but you got like there's a distance factor. I think like 6 feet or something, and
yeah,
depending on how many people are there, that kind of can change things and what have you. But because you guys went back on lockdown for a while though, didn't you?
yeah. Well, we started again just a couple maybe 2 3 weeks ago. Yeah, we just got
Mm,
ordered to lock down again. But but we had a little bit of freedom for a little while there.
yeah.
Yeah. So,
No,
but a lot of things happen, man. The numbers spiked up.
I know. I'm just waiting for this to freaking go away. I mean, I just got like, it's so funny. Like, I always thought injuries would be my, kryptonite as far as getting away my journey. Never thought it'd be a virus.
Yeah. Gosh, man.
You know what I
Really.
mean? It was like, geez. But so then again, I want to thank you so much for coming on because I'm so much looking forward to this because again, I've gotten like bits and pieces as far as the Kabbalah system, but nobody really to speak on it as far as an entire session. So
Hmm.
yeah, so I'm looking forward because this yeah, I love the ones that are kind of educational for me as well. You know.
Well, I'll try my best, sir.
Oh, I'm sure you're gonna do fantastic. So let's, if you, do you mind just sharing? Because I know it sounds like you moved to Stockton circa 1972 from.
Yes, yeah. My parents, we migrated here, because of economic and political reasons, and then so my parents decided to make a life over here. And
Mm,
I just gotta tell you, man, what do you call this? That that what do you call this? That attitude of hard work and perseverance. I mean, they work really hard. I mean,
yeah.
my father came here in 1971. He had us here by 1972, and by 1973, my parents purchased their house.
Oh
And so
wow. So he
they
was.
just work. They
Oh,
work
he was
hard.
busy. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
He wasn't
And
fooling around then, huh?
yeah, and at that time,
Yeah.
they're still a little limited on choices, and so they work in the agriculture industry to make fast money, and then later on they were able to transition out of there. My father ended up to working at the University of the Pacific as a maintenance man, and uh, and then my mother ended up working for the Hilton hotels as a laundry person, and so they were a little bit more stable that way. They just worked hard, man, saved money, and
Yeah.
we just wanted a better life for my sister and I, and
Well, it
they
sounds
did a
like
great job.
they did well. They achieved that. Yeah. No,
Yeah,
fantastic. Yeah. No, I mean that's those are great stories. You know what I mean? They come over and they just make a better situation for themselves and their family and all that. Like I mean that's what it's all about. You know what I mean? No, that's fantastic. So when you obviously you're 10 years old when you're coming over here, and it's Stockton. Am I correct?
yes, in Stockton. Yeah,
Yeah, oh gosh. I just hear
yeah,
that's
we
like the
settled here.
Mecca. It's the Mecca, huh?
Yeah,
I tell you, on the East Coast, man, that's, we can remember in the 90s when I first got into Stockton was the place. Like, you know what I mean? Like us on the East Coast, you know what I mean? Like we all like revered about Stockton, you know what I mean? Stockton, yeah. So it's a good thing,
yeah, it was a good thing. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
you know. So would you mind sharing with us, I guess your father's system? Because if I'm correct, that's where you first kind of started.
Yes, my great grandfather, he was an escrimador, and it started from him, and then it went on to my grandfather, and so for he had my they were originally from Cebu, from the island of Cebu, and then my grandfather had to he decided, for because of legal reasons, he moved over to Negros, in Negros Occidental, and so he settled in a town called Cadiz, and uh,
Okay.
and, that's where my grandfather grew up, and so that's where my grandfather started his training with his dad, and then in the my grandfather was part of the Sakada, which was the labor force coming out of the Philippines in the early 1900s to work in Hawaii, and
Mm,
so he was in the island of Lanai, and so that's where my father was born. And so that's in 1925, my father was born there, and then when Hawaii became a state, so it was retroactive that anyone born in Hawaii, even before it became a state, that they can claim their citizenship when they become 18 years old.
okay. Okay.
And so that's what my father did, and that's how he re-immigrated here, and well, actually not re-immigrated. He was born here, and so but he was raised in the Philippines, because my grandfather, after a short stay of working in Hawaii, decided to uh, uh, build his fortune in the Philippines,
Mm,
and so that was his choice. And then he had a cousin who decided to move to over here in Stockton, from Hawaii to Stockton, and so that's how that was our connection. Because when my father became an adult, he through letter he approached his uncle. He approached his uncle to help him out with acquiring a ticket and to come over here, and then help him with paperwork, like signing on an affidavit of support to make sure that that he's not going to be dependent on the state when he came here.
Oh, okay.
And then so in 1971 he was able to come back to the United States, and then being that my sister and I were his children, we were automatically U.S. citizens as soon as my father claimed his. Yeah. So anyway, as we were here, so the connection with that was my grandfather and his father was a screamador, and then later on, when my grandfather was in Hawaii, he was part of that group out there, all the screamador group. They were all the guys from the Cebu area or southern Philippines,
Yeah,
and
I
Bill
hear about
Brill and
Hawaii.
all the others there. And then so and my grandfather knew everybody because he opened up a restaurant down there, and then so then reimmigrated. He moved his family back to the Philippines, and then in 1971 my father decided to come back, and so we came here in 1971. My father 71, and then the rest of us in 72, and so that's when I started my training here. After
Okay.
yeah after And so it was just a little thing at first. I would go to the camps where my father worked, and all these guys would just take turns, man, and start. They poke me here, and it made me do this and hit me across my head, and so I cover here and push me, and then and then kick my leg, and pretty soon
Wow.
I'm doing things that I didn't know I'm supposed to do, and
So in other words, you were more being kind of reflexive, just as kind of what was coming at you, sort of.
what was that again?
You were kind of just being more reflexive, basically what they were kind of throwing at you.
Yeah, kind of just play. It was a playful thing, plaything, and
Yeah.
but it had martial arts, you know, training underneath it, hidden, and but I didn't formally start my martial arts training until my sister. She's the one that approached my dad that if they would start training me to build my confidence because I was being picked on at school.
Oh,
And then so my father and the gentleman Roy Honor, he was a Largomano. He played Largomano, a style of Largomano that fought multiple opponents, and he took us in. So when we moved here, we stayed at his house, and then so he was so generous to us, man. I mean, he was my first. He and my father kind of teamed up to train me, and he started with me with a little bit of boxing, and they started getting me to the stick, and there were like four of us together that studied in his backyard, and so that was my introduction then
So
to FMA.
it's just something I just found interesting that you mentioned. In the fields there, when you mentioned the workers, were there a lot of workers that had a screamer training? Like they,
At that time, I gotta be honest with you. At that time, I really didn't know how much was, how much it was so. How much was available in the community? All I
I'm
know
just
is that
saying, I'm thinking like, man, there had to be some.
yeah, all I know is that little by little, I started finding out, oh, this guy's specialty is the cane, this guy's specialty is the knife, and all these names started popping up, and that they would, and at that time there was Miguel Alfici, there was Manong Ayong, Miguel Alfici was he was like a cane expert, and then Manong Ayong was a knife expert, and then there was Johnny Lacosta, his name was mentioned. And then there was, and then Tatang Illustrimo's uncle,
Regina.
yeah, his name was mentioned, and there was so many others, man, along with Angel Cabales and Leo Hiron, and you start hearing those names, man.
No, I know. This is what we heard on the East Coast. I mean, it was just like, I mean, Guy Hay was definitely making a huge presence in in your group, and deserves accolades for doing that, because if he wasn't in New York, the East Coast wasn't looking good. We had a couple people in New Jersey. The name escapes me. You know what? You brought up a name. The guy that's good with a knife, Yo Young.
Manong Ayong. Manong Ayong. 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 I don't know his real name. He was just, that was his nickname.
The
Ayong.
reason why I'm asking this is, oh my God, I have to talk to Bong Avenir. He mentioned this guy that he disappeared, but this guy would train him. And then one day he kind of just didn't see him. I'm wondering if that guy, like, and again, it could be a long shot. It's just something, it just, when I heard you mention that name, because I'm pretty sure it's the same name. And he mentioned this guy all of a sudden just kind of moved, just didn't come around anymore. But
Yeah,
I'm wondering if he moved.
he was easy to identify because he had one leg shorter than the other. He walked with a limp.
Do you have a bunch of scars?
You know what? I can't recall that. No.
Wow, this is fascinating. I'm going to have to ask him, hey, Maestro, did he ever, was one leg shorter than you? But that name, though, it sounds so, I got it. I could swear that's the same. Here, there's a bunch of people that are saying hello to you. So I
Okay.
want to just, yeah, you got a fan club here, which is a great thing. Guru Vico, James Irvin, hey,
Oh yeah.
James,
Hey.
Julius, Francisco, Richard Packman, Guru Terry,
Oh my God.
Nelson, Nelson Pinto, Guru Eugene, Brian Rodriguez, hey Nathan, Richard Packman again, June, Maestro June,
All
got
right.
the
Great.
video of you
Great.
too, yeah,
All right.
and Tuan Jack, and Frank. Okay, we got a question here. I'm going to write this down just so I don't forget it from Tuan. Who were your biggest? Okay, so when we get to, I'm definitely gonna say that. And Guru Hoist, all right. Who was your biggest influence? All right, Tuan, I won't forget that question. I promise. After GM Cabales. Okay, so I'm sorry, when you brought that name up, I'm sorry. It just, yeah. Oh my God, that it just was too familiar. So okay, so you're starting to train. So basically, it's kind of the backyard. If I've heard off that often back in the day, it was kind of in the backyard, right? That's garage, backyard.
Yeah, it was backyard. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. The only kids were training back there were connected to the family. They were almost like I mean they weren't blood connection, but their relationship to Manong Roy to the family that was there. I mean, they were like his grandkids.
Mm.
And then so these were the Puntod family here in Stockton. There was Larry, Tino, Daryl, Larry, and so it was Tino and Daryl that were mostly there working out with me. And but it was great memories, man. This old man was crazy, man. He was just a lot of fun. He would, like, during summertime, he would bring treats out, and all the kids in the neighborhood would line up on his fence, and then he would pull out his swords and he would just start demonstrating. He would do carenzas in his
Oh
front
yeah.
yard,
Oh
and and,
wow.
and all those kids would be out there, man. He was just an amazing man.
So wow. Was this generally now? Was this predominantly yeah, Filipino community?
Yeah, well, yeah. This was there was where we lived. It was a mix, and it was in South Stockton. There was a place called Corona Park, and
Mm-hmm.
so there was Hispanics, Mexicans, and African American community, and so it was just a mixture of different ethnicity in that area. Yeah.
Okay, but I mean, okay, because it still seems like there's a pretty good Filipino community there, right?
Oh yeah, it was pretty large at that time.
Okay,
At one time, Filipino was the largest community, Filipino community outside the Philippines.
that's what I
And then
hear. Right? Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
and then later on, there was the next migration of professionals coming out of the Philippines. After the labor force that came out of the Philippines, the next was a professional force, and they settled in the bigger cities like San Francisco and L.A. And New
Yeah,
York,
LA,
Chicago.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
because
Chicago is,
yeah,
I heard recently, that's also a big community there.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
Yeah. So, wow, we got a lot of questions. This is thank you, Tuan. That's good to hear because I've been getting on their backs why there have been so many glitches as of late. I got a couple more questions. I'm gonna have to go back through, but I'll definitely get to them, guys who listed questions. So okay, so how long did this? So I obviously got your bio here, chronologically speaking, kind of what happened and when. So was it fair to say this was kind of informal training, kind of?
Yeah, it was pretty regular though. It was like we did it on the weekends, and then but it wasn't, it wasn't like a regular class.
Mm,
We didn't have we didn't have too many, you know we didn't have any uniforms, any belts or anything.
yeah, right,
And
right,
he would
yeah,
just pull out a stick, give it to us, and we would just play.
and swing away.
Yeah, swing away. Yeah, and so yeah, so that's what it was. And yeah, so and then yeah, so that was pretty much it for a while there. And
Mm,
it wasn't until he passed away that I started searching for another instructor. And so I was originally uh, my father wanted me to train under La Costa, and then somebody killed him. And then
yeah, what a shame, huh?
yeah, and then
Mm.
we heard about Angel Cabales, and but we didn't really know much about him. And but one day, man, I'm watching television, and it was like the 5 o'clock news in the afternoon, something like that. And then they next thing they they had this, they had this thing about martial arts, that
Mm.
they were featuring that day. And then and next thing you know, after the commercial, he came in and showed, you know showed I remember today, I would, it was Sombrada and Lock and Block that they showed.
Okay.
And so I didn't really fully understand it back then, but I know that's, after I got into the style, I knew what that was. And so they showed that, man, and then all of a sudden it was like Angel Cabales, Angel Cabales. So I had him in,
Oh, there. Okay.
yeah, so I had him in the back of my head. It was he, and it was Manong Angel, Jimmy Tacosa, and Dento Rivalar. And so I had him in the back of my head. And then uh, and then didn't really think anything more. And then later on, when I was in high school already, this was a little bit younger. I was probably like in junior high school when I saw the show on TV. And then later on, when I was in high school already, I my one of my buddies, he passed away already. He's in a wheelchair, and he calls me up and he says, "Hey man, guess what? I met this guy named Joe, and he does what you do." And I said, "What do you mean?" He's like, "He does that stick thing." I
The
said, "Really?"
stick.
I said, "Can I meet him?" And they said, "Yeah." So he made an appointment. I went to pick up my friend Rudy, and then we went down to Joe's house, and Joe lived one block behind us. We lived on Fifth Street in Lincoln when I was working out with Roy Honor. And then so when I met this guy Joe, he was on Fourth Street, just a couple of houses, away from Roy's house in the back.
Okay.
And then so we started playing a little bit, and I started watching him. He had a shorter stick, and he was doing like abanico type techniques. It was really quick. And I man, I wanted it.
You had to
And
have more of
so
that.
yeah, so I tried bugging my dad, and he didn't go for it first until eventually they met, and found out that they belonged to the same fraternity, different lodges, but the same fraternity. And next thing you know, I'm there working out, and that was in 1979.
79. Okay, so this is still pre-Cabales, right?
Yes, yeah, this is
Okay,
like,
okay,
yeah,
okay.
Cabales already, his school was already well known in the area, because he started formally teaching. From what I hear, he started teaching already like in his backyard or in his living room back in the early 60s, like 61, 62. And then
Yeah,
later
because
on,
he had the first school, correct?
Well, for, that's what they say, that he opened the first school.
I mean, we've always heard, but
Yeah, I mean that formal school. That means that he opened up. He had a location, and then he had a curriculum, and so he was organized, and and then so he formally opened his school in 1965, 66, and
that's
yeah. So by 1979, Dental Revelar, Danny Santo, Mike and I, all these great names, man, they already passed through there, and
wow. I
we
know. And for that year, I mean,
yeah,
60s FMA
yeah,
school.
yeah.
And that's so. All right. So you're still okay. So you're taking lessons from the person now that basically lived very close to you, behind you, 4th Street. Is that?
No, well, he's the one that made the instruction. Okay, so
Oh, okay, okay.
that made the introduction. He made the introduction to Manong Angel. Yeah, so we worked out a couple of times, and then he invited me over to the school.
Okay,
I'm sorry, I didn't clarify that. He invited me over to Angel Cabales School, and I
okay.
fell in love, man. And then so it took a lot of convincing, but my father eventually came to visit, and he, and then after they shook hands and
It was a done
became
deal.
buddies. Yeah, so it was, yeah.
It was a ton. So just before we get into him, obviously this is going to kind of be the meat and potatoes, so to speak. Um, you said like when you walked in there, like you kind of alluded to that you knew this was it. Like what? I mean, like was it the aura of the place? I mean, what really resonated with you to know at that early age, like this is what you wanted?
You know what, man? It was, there's other style I was learning. It was for multiple opponents, so you have moved around a lot.
Mm,
Which is a great style. I mean, I didn't fully understand it when I was a kid, but now that I'm adult, I try to recollect as much as I can. Try to see what he was teaching me at that time. But when I got to Manong Angel School, it was I like the that it was because I was born with spina bifida. I had a deformity in my legs, and so I had a mobility problem, and then so it was and everything was close range on the training, and I just like the way their hands move, man. It was really fast,
okay.
and I've never seen that kind of hand speed before,
Yeah.
and because that was the development. You could see that everything was developed to, I mean, everything that you do, it was to develop your hand speed, and then also develop your eyes,
Oh,
and
hand-eye
I mean,
coordination. You're okay.
if you look
Okay.
at Serrata, the way the way you train it, I mean, in Serrata you're allowed to move any way you want. You can advance, you can retreat, you can do largo moves, okay. But in the training, you're restricted. You're
Oh,
restricted on
okay.
your movement, and it's really to hone in your reflexes. So in other words, they
Oh,
want to put
okay. Interesting.
they want you, yeah. So they want you to be able to block and move and develop
Mm,
quickness, because you can't do anything else.
yeah.
And then and you do that for a long time. That's the way you just train, and you train that, and then one day they just let you go. You know.
Okay, and then you can obviously at that point you can decide whether you want you want Largamato, Medio,
Yeah,
whatever. Right. Okay.
yeah.
Okay.
Because
That's kind of neat. Huh, I like
we
that.
explored all of that.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So Manong Angel had his largo type techniques. He had his boxing type techniques. He had his
Mm.
grappling type techniques. And yeah. So just different areas. So, but he really specialized in that
That
quick
close.
combinations, man. Yeah,
Okay. Okay. So
yeah,
when you okay, so now you're officially a student. Is that fair to say under him?
yeah. I was,
Okay, and this is circa 83?
no, this was 1979.
Okay.
Yeah,
Oh, okay, okay,
1979.
okay, okay,
Yeah.
okay, okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
and I graduated in 1983. I got my advanced degree from Manong Angel in
I
1980.
got you. Okay, so
Yeah.
79 you're starting. So obviously you're going there more than one day a week. I mean, are you just
We're going 3 days a week.
3 days a week? Okay, 3 days a
Yeah, three
week.
days a week.
And how
Yeah.
long are the sessions?
It was like an hour and a half to 2 hours, $25 a month. Maybe it was $20 a month.
Yeah,
It was
yeah. Yeah, yeah.
The good
Wow.
old days.
Yeah. From like a legend. Wow. Yeah. Jeez. Yeah, I know. Wow. So what was the I guess just for the people like what was the class setting? So I guess like what, if you're walking in there, what, as far as the class structure, curriculum, what have you?
The setting was one-on-one. So I was assigned. I was assigned an instructor,
Okay.
and his name is oh my gosh, my mind went blank. But oh my gosh, what's his name? Um, let me go back to that in a minute.
Sure, sure, sure,
yeah.
sure.
So So anyway, so I was assigned an instructor, and I was with him for a little while, and then as I developed and got better, I was given another instructor. You know,
Okay. Okay.
yeah, so it was just so it was that's the way I was developed, and then it just took me, from 1979 till 83 to graduate, just a long process. Yeah.
So then during
Yeah, I'm
that,
sorry. So my first instructor there was Stanley Wells. Yeah,
Stanley.
Captain
Okay.
Stanley
Okay.
Wells.
Okay.
Yeah. I
All right.
apologize, Stanley.
No, no,
Getting
no.
old, man.
Yeah. Well, jeez. So then, okay, so you kind of got this a guy who's mentoring you, so to speak. So like, I guess so. Was it basically like any other class setting? You had your warm ups, then you kind of go into your.
Well, it was warm ups were warm ups and flexibility training that was kind of like left to us. Like he showed us what to do, but we did that outside the school. Inside
Oh,
the school,
okay.
we warmed up by moving.
Okay.
So we go
Okay.
slow, and we warmed up with by movement. By the physical movement that we're gonna use.
Okay.
And but everything was worked together. You make a step, your hand moves a certain way. And so you work your combinations, and then it's your legs will do something, and then your hands will do something, and you sync it together. Pretty soon you're not
Oh, okay.
awkward anymore. You get smoother and
Wow.
smoother. Yeah. So,
All right.
but
So then, all right. So then, all right. So you graduate 83. I'm just want to just see here. What I mean, like, so how was your, I know you mentioned a gentleman who was kind of, overseeing you and all that. I mean, obviously during those 4 years, I mean, you must have been quite a bit of contact with GM Cabales himself,
Oh
correct?
yes, yes, yeah. Because as you progress, as you progress, and there's certain things you need, he would assign another instructor that was probably more better suited to teach that part of the of,
Okay.
you
Okay.
know of what you need to learn, and then he would come and correct, and then he would test you, to see if you're going to be ready to move on to the next level. you know
Okay.
and
Okay.
and, and,
Okay.
and so that's the way they nurtured you, and just bring you up slow. And
No, no, no. Okay. Okay.
so
So what was, I guess, just for the viewers who maybe, I mean, obviously everybody, his name is, obviously, you know, I mean, marveled at as far as the FMA community and, the first school in Stockton or, the whole 9 yards. But just from your experience, what, I mean, the man, just about the man, like his personality, his teaching style, you
um
know,
yeah, he was very caring.
yeah.
He loved teaching, he loved his art, and you just he just made you feel like you were special, man.
Oh,
I,
yes,
I
yes,
really
yes.
noticed that when I did private training with him. When I started doing
Mhm.
one-on-one training with him, it was, after the training, you feel like you're 10 foot tall and bulletproof,
Oh, yeah.
and
So
he
you
made you
really,
feel that way.
so you really instilled confidence and
Yeah. So
like a good
he
teacher.
he
Oh,
he,
wow.
he knew how to he knew how to bring your those warrior instinct out of you.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
And
Sounds
so
like
I
you.
mean, I had a lot of challenges, man, but he was able to bring him out.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So
No, no.
yeah.
Well, so it sounds like he brought the best out in you. You
Yeah,
know.
and then everybody knew him in the community. He was a foreman, in the a labor foreman for many of the the different growers, when whether it was grapes or tomatoes, because he worked in the farms, and so everybody knew him,
Oh, so yeah,
and
well known. Okay.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, he was just a good guy, man. He was a nice guy,
Mhm.
and but he was tough as heck, man. He was tough.
Yeah.
He didn't take no BS from nobody.
No,
He was,
I heard he.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Everything I hear about him, that I read about him, all that. I mean, it sounds like he carried himself well and was obviously well respected. You know. So when you graduate '83, um, did you start to teach right away, or how did that go?
Well, once back then, once you graduated, you started coming. You would come into the class, and you would start helping to teach, and
Okay.
you would just help, and then that's how you were developed as a teacher. You learn little by little, and so what he used to give me an assignment, and you would say like, oh, hey, this guy's tall, and he has a tendency for this, so let's work on that, you know and
Okay.
so he would just coach me each one. I would approach him, hey, Manong, I taught him this and this, and he would come over and look, and I would ask him what's next, and he would let me know. Yeah, and it was
That's a
cool, man.
fantastic.
Like if I
So,
if if I
oh,
did something that wasn't, that he wanted to change, he would talk to me on the side, and tell me to make some changes. Then I'll go back and make some changes, and then he'll come over
okay.
and do the final touch. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Right.
he never
Okay.
embarrassed me in front of any students.
No, 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 no. Yeah, yeah. No,
Yeah.
no. The fact that he took you off to his side. Yeah, absolutely. Right. Yeah. So that's kind of neat. Like he brings you back in, and he lets you teach, so you can develop your teaching and all that, and see it from that lens and all that. I mean, that's special. Keep everybody in the house. I mean, that's
Yeah, the rest of my training with Grandmaster Cabales. It came in phases. What happened is that when I first finished, my balance was still poor, but I was able to finish. To
mm,
to graduate, and then but he wanted to work on my balance, and then
okay.
so I would go to his house, and I would train not, like in a hallway. There's a hallway, you come in, and there's a little area by the living room, and we would train right there in the hallway, and he was working on my balance to make it stronger, and he was able to do that, man. He
Oh
really helped
wow,
me, develop that balance, and
fantastic.
and then uh, to make the long story short, later on, uh, the condition of my legs got worse, and so I developed this blister, and it got infected, and they tried several things to try to correct it, and then but eventually they told me, hey, you might have to get your leg amputated, and then so
Mm,
so I went to Manong Angel. I approached Manong Angel, and I told him, what the doctors told me, and so I told him, I said, Manong, I love the art, the martial arts so much. I don't know how I'm going to be able to participate, because as it is, they're taking away my better leg, you know, and so I don't know. And then yeah, that's where he took me, and he said, I'm going to teach you how to break down the system. I'll show you how to break it down step by step, and I'm
oh
going to
wow.
show you how to I'm going to show you how to coach. So that way, that's going to be my way of being able to participate after I lose my mobility, is by knowing how to teach, and that's a gift he
Mm,
gave me, man. Because
that's incredible.
now I'm able to teach. Yeah.
Obviously he had. I mean, obviously shows that he deeply cared about you. I mean, to do that for you and all that. I mean, so obviously that was a special man. Wow, fantastic. So actually, I'm going to get to one question because it kind of parallels what you just talked about from Tuan Jack. Can you describe the modifications GM Cabales made for you specifically? I'm always watching how you choose to respond to different angles and how you adjust the wheelchair. But back then, were you using crutches?
No, at that time I was walking, and
Okay.
at that time I was walking, and then he already made modifications for me. The way I stand. So it was you can see, you'll find old demonstrations that that might be available online, and if you see me, I'm kind of like wobbling around because I didn't know how to stand, you know. And then
Mm,
eventually he was able to fix that. I stand a certain way, kind of as like a little slouch, but I'm
yeah.
solid, man. I can't be
Right.
knocked down at that stand,
Yeah.
and then he just showed me how to like for myself. Uh, I mean, what happened is this: I fought a couple of tournaments, man. I just got annihilated. It was just I got beat on, and so the first tournament actually, I was able to come back. It was like a two round. I was able to come back,
Okay.
but I got beat out the first round real bad, and then the next one I got beat out by this guy was a champion at that time, man, and we draw straws, and I drew him, and he beat me up again, and then I got beat
Oh,
again,
gee.
and then so from then on, when Angel started using, teaching me how to move my way, because I'm trying
Mm,
to do what I'm teaching my students. That that's not you. You need to do this and this,
right. 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 Right.
and so he started developing my blocking, how to slip, how to parry,
Mm,
and then I started, and he would tell me all the time, pay attention to your body, pay attention, it'll tell you, and so
yeah. Yeah.
I started utilizing those hints that he gave me, and then so when I moved to using a cane, then when I moved to using crutches, then down to a wheelchair, I learned how to maneuver in a way that's specifically for me, because I would hear he say, his coaching was,
Yeah. Yeah.
pay
Yeah.
attention
Yeah.
to how you move, pay attention to what you
Okay.
need, you'll know what to do, you
Huh.
know, and
What a great. Sounds like
yeah,
he was a
so
great
that's
coach. Jeez.
uh,
So, I mean, honestly, not only a great coach, but just somebody who really just, honestly took an interest in you and went out of his way to do everything he could to help you. I mean, it sounds like you guys had a special relationship.
oh, it was, we had an awesome
Yeah. No,
relationship. It was great.
I'm hearing it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Um,
Yeah.
all right. Okay. So that was two on Jacks. I'm just going to back up a bit because I just don't want to forget these questions. Um, Alrighty here. So just okay. This is from Julius. So, do you have aspects of Derek Waters, Serrata, Bahalana in your style?
Well, you know what? Um, my teacher was Angel Cabales, Roy Honor, and my father.
Okay.
And but we knew all the other instructors. Like for instance, Gilbertino, the Recuerdas man, he used to come and visit my house when I was training my students in the garage. He and my father were lodge brothers, so he would
Okay.
come over and visit my father, and he would come into class, and then and I was around the people that studied under him, different people and different groups, and so I was able to see how he taught and look at their movement, and then Manong Leo, so I mean at that time, man, this was at that time there was still a rivalry sort of, this was
Hmm.
a time when people challenge each other,
Wow.
and,
Yeah. Huh? Because
but
you're going back some time. Yeah.
yeah, and but I would visit, I would visit their class, man, and he would welcome me, and he taught in his basement at that time, and I would come in there, and we would sit down right by he had like a little chair there, and we'd sit there together,
Hmm.
and we would just talk, man. We would just talk, and so it was an awesome experience to be able to be surrounded by so many great people and so many approaches, and so although I never
I mean,
got
gosh.
your direct training from Manong Leo or direct training from Gilbertino, I was able to
Hmm.
watch and kind of see how they move,
I mean,
and
unbelievable. Like, I
yeah,
know,
so
it's so funny. Like, again, when I started, you know, a group of us kind of, here and there off or what have you. But generally speaking, the group I'm referring to, like in the 90s, some early, some mid 90s, what have you. But it was always, I mean, Stockton was the talk because at that time everybody was still pretty much alive.
Yeah.
So
And it
we
was,
so
yeah.
our thing was like we were actually like reading about these guys, but of course didn't have contact. There was no internet yet. I mean, right around the corner, but no internet yet. So it was just basically conversations and like kind of what you heard from people that did go out there and came back. Maybe like through the academy, seminars, what have you, but mostly like through the academy and all that. But that's what I mean. So we're out here like just hearing all this like great stuff that people are being exposed to out there. It's like seeing like you're 5 years old and like you turn and you look turn on the TV and you're seeing all the candy stores, but you can't reach them. You can't touch them. Maybe not the best analogy, but wow. I mean, I can only imagine what you've seen and been exposed to. I mean, that's yeah.
Yeah, it was an
Write
awesome
a
time.
book. When you get you could write a book. All right, got another question here. Okay, for Nathan. Maestro, how much did GM Angel change or after Derek Wireless material he learned from D-Zone when he began to call his system Serrata?
Yeah, so the name Surata came about because the story goes is that somebody came and visited the class, another screamador, and so um, and he looked and he says, "Oh, you have a lot of closing technique."
Mm,
And so you cover all angles, so that means is that we have a drill in Matasabagio we call the closing drill, okay,
okay.
is sombrada contra, and then like for instance, one time the other group that I would see do it through Dentro Revelar, his group SLD, and then so I would see it in his class, and then he also taught it to Mahala na multi style, and then so I would see them using the same type of movement.
How interesting.
Yeah,
This came up last Sunday's interview with Maestro June, Terry,
yeah.
and Eugene. Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
So anyway, so because with I would just demonstrate real quick with Serrata, there's like 4 or 5 combinations, so you're not going to use all the hits in all these combinations. You're going to pick and choose which one you're going to do. But what happens is that you get to your body start to learn how these movements work, and you might pick 1 or 2 of those in a fight or
Okay.
in altercation, to be able to enter or to be able to defend. Like for instance, we would like inside block is here 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then you go to your lock.
Okay.
Daga lock, right? So in all of those movements, we have a drill that we insert a technique in those movements, and so it's like holding a focus mitt. I'm only going to give him the feed that he needs in order he has to fit,
I got you.
so he
Okay.
gets feedback, so he gets that click click click,
Mm.
and it's not fighting, it's training,
Yeah, right.
and
Okay.
just like
Okay.
when we do some brada, just like when we do lock and block, it's not
Mhm.
fighting, it's training,
Train. Yeah.
and same thing with our basics, it's not fighting, it's training,
Yeah.
and then once we've internalized those, then we would start picking what we're going to choose, and we should be able to recognize what we choose because of the type of training we've had, whether
Okay.
it's controlled sparring or full contact sparring or light sparring, and that's how you start pulling those things out. But a lot of the drills were designed that way, so that you can start pulling
Ah,
out techniques. Yeah,
okay. Okay.
yeah.
I got questions here that were sent to me via Messenger. All right. Okay.
Oh man, I think I've answered that fully, but I think
No,
I
no,
think
no,
that's
no. That was okay. No,
yeah.
all right. So, oh, okay. We already. Okay, we already got that one. Okay, and I have. Okay, I do have one more, but I just want to see. It was Talon Jack had another one. Okay.
Yeah, wait, before you ask
Um,
that question, Dean,
I'm
I
sorry.
just want to
What?
clarify something because the question really was, I just,
Oh no,
I
please.
kind of
Oh, go
babbled.
ahead.
The question
Certainly.
was that, how what did he do any modification, right? So Manong Angel always said that he tries his best to follow what the song taught, you know, and then so, but he trained with other people in his life,
Mm,
you know, so and so he would, so you know and he grew as a person,
okay.
because if I look at the training, and it's not to say anything's bad or good, okay,
Yeah.
if I look at the training from the first generation to the next, and then to the last one, there was like a big change, and then there was a big change on what he was going to cover, because he was just at that different phases of his life. So in the beginning, in the early days, he would concentrate on one area, that in this area,
Mm,
and then later on, but they would concentrate it in that area combatively, and then later on, his concentration was on different understanding that he wanted to convey, a different combative theory,
right. Okay.
within the context of the Sarada, Sarada format, and
Okay.
so yes, so I don't think I think all of these things were already there, and he, just his experience, he was able to understand more and was able to pull it out from the system, because that's what he always said. He always said everything is in the basics. Everything is in the basics. And then so
Mm,
when I start pulling out techniques, I pull from the basics, man.
yeah.
And I talk about this, like one day I did, my assistant somebody's here. We did a seminar, he and I and another gentleman, David Lee. We did a seminar down south, out in the desert somewhere, and I taught outside block pretty much the whole day.
Okay.
You know,
And just like okay.
and I used that combination, and I just pulled from different combinations to do different things, and so that's what it's about, so these
Yeah.
combinations, I can pull anything out of it, whether
Right.
it's a disarm, a capture, or slicing, a Banico technique, different things I can pull out of it, you know and because I've internalized those combinations.
Right.
See what
Right.
I'm
Right.
saying?
Okay.
Yeah.
No.
So
No. 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 Thank you for. Yeah. That was excellent. Um. Okay. I do got. We're just going to. I'm going to get to Jack's question after we finish up. Okay. So now, all right. So you're at the school. You're help teaching. He's giving you basically what sounds like refinement. You're going to your house. He's helping you with some of the finer details, what have you, your balance, etc. And all that. Does that sound fair? All that.
yes, but it wasn't like, it was I would do certain things at his house and do certain things in the class.
Hmm.
It was just a long process of development.
Okay.
So, yeah. So it's like, I wasn't trained to be a master in his system, you know, and these guys that were trained to be a masters, they had a different knowledge, you know,
Okay.
and then so I was trained differently. I was trained because it was so I still can continue and participate even
Right.
though
I got
my
you.
mobility disappeared, and so
I got
he
you.
taught me how to teach, and so that's
Okay.
basically it.
No, no,
Yeah.
fantastic. Um, just one thing I want to cover, I have a vid because when you hear about Cabales, I'm not saying the thing that comes to my mind is lock and block. You know what I mean? And I'm not saying obviously there's other things. I'm just saying, just for me personally, that's like the first thing that comes to my mind when I hear about it. So essentially, can you explain to the viewers again, people maybe that don't know and all that, like what
Uh,
essentially is it?
Lock and block is hard to describe, man.
or,
Because
or
what
whatever,
you know,
yeah,
yeah,
whatever you want to
so
go with.
it's so basically the drill goes like this. So I have my combinations like for each block, right? So I might do a roof block and then do a combination, you know, and then the dagger comes, and then I do a different combination. So what it is that the feeder, he feeds me the long weapon and feeds me the short weapon, and I go back and forth to each one. Okay, you know, but there's more to that, you know, and then so the feeder, he's learning to find your opening, you know, and through that change of left hand, right hand, he would try to get in with his right hand. He would try to get in with his left hand through
Oh, okay. He's gonna try to.
through
Okay.
you know, through timing, you know,
Yeah. Yeah.
you know, or through, you know, through, or finding, you know, just finding the holes, right?
He's gonna
You
try to
know,
find the gaps, and you
yeah,
gotta
and
try
then your
to.
job, is to follow the footwork. You're restricted in Serrada lock and block. You know, we're very restricted. We can only step forward, step back, step forward, step back. You know, our feet, it's like this. You know, you step and back in the middle, right? You know, and sometimes you might retreat and then back in the middle. You know, we were restricted on our movement. You know,
Okay.
and that was to develop a certain attribute. You know, and so, but there's a lot of things going on in there. You know, that it takes time to figure that out, and you need somebody that knows how to guide you through lock and block.
Oh
See,
no, no, I'm
it's not
sure.
just me feeding. You know,
What do
we
you
have
think,
to
man? Yeah. There's 4 weapons going.
yeah. So it's a
So
process.
yeah, definitely. There's a
Yeah.
lot going on there. Yeah. I mean, I'm gonna pull this video. I'm assuming. I think you mentioned it. Again, I hope you can see it, but it sounds like you know the one I'm talking about before you got on. So, so it's the one you're with June, Maestro June.
Mhm.
You're using 2 sticks, but it's I'm guessing you're doing.
Yeah, well, you know, that day we were kind of experimenting, figuring which one I'm gonna move, you know, and so you know, he challenged my reflexes a little bit, you know, to see what my natural instinct will be, you know, and that exercise that we did. I mean, June and Gene and those guys, man, you know, it's just we're buddies, you know, we
Yeah,
get
I
to
know, no.
experiment,
That's awesome. You guys are, you guys
yeah,
all get
we get to
along.
share, you
Okay.
know, so it was a day of sharing, you know, so it was
Yeah, no,
definitely.
it's fantastic. I mean, you were talking, so you were. I mean, it sounds like you were. Yeah, I mean, which is fantastic. Uh,
Yeah.
so then, all right. So, like I said, I know you said it was hard to describe, but the weapon? So basically, is it kind of like any other system? You obviously you got your blunt weapon, your short and long, your edged. Is it kind of parallel to like other systems or different, shorter stick or?
Um, it's I think everybody wants to do. Everybody can only move so much, right? You know, it's just the way you present things. You
Mm,
know, it's just the different in movement. So there, like for instance, there's I can do I can do a sword and scabbard. Okay, right? Okay, or I can do the sword and empty hand, right?
mm,
Or I can do a sword and dagger. See what I'm saying?
yeah.
You know, so I can do medio, corto, and largo. You know, and then so within the context of the style,
Okay.
and then so because when we do largo, you're gonna look at it and say, oh, that's largo, but that looks like a Cabales largo,
Mm,
and you look at another largo, oh, that's largo, but that looks like a Hiron largo. Leo Huron Largo. You see what I'm saying?
okay. Okay.
So after a while, you go to the different schools, you kind of know who was what, and by the way they presented their technique,
All
and
right.
that's the style, the difference in the style, because there's the artistic part and there's the combative part of our art.
Right. Okay. Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So,
So, and that must have been so neat because just growing up in Stockton, I mean, you must have seen like you must have been exposed to like you mentioned, like whether it's from Cebu or Luzon or what have you. I mean, like were you privy to all that? Like you got to see just all
well,
that?
we were Visayan, and at that time in the 70s, it was still pretty much like, if you're Visaya, you hang out with Visaya, and so all my dad's friends were all Visayans,
No.
You know?
Oh, so you guys felt like oh, no kidding.
Yeah, and then the Ilocano families would hang out with the Ilocano family. But
Huh.
the difference was that they had lodges, and at lodges they were all brothers.
Okay.
So that's how it started to change, because I mean that's how they fought the Spaniards. That's how you were able to unite to fight the Spaniards, because
Fine.
they formed a fraternity. The
Mm,
Katipunan, that was a fraternity. And when they formed these fraternities, they took all these different, Ilocano, the Tagalog,
right, right, right.
Ilonggo. They took all these guys, and they became lodge brothers. They
Yeah, yeah,
became
yeah.
fraternal brothers.
Wow.
And so they were, yeah, so that's what that was about. But I tell you, man,
Hmm.
Stockton was sometimes it was a place to be, man, because we had Chinese martial arts here, Japanese martial arts. We just
Oh yeah,
did different things here, man.
yeah. We like I said. I mean that's where we all wanted to be from back east. So then, when? Okay. Um, I got one more question to get. So when you, okay, I guess when did you just really start actively teaching outside the academy?
I started doing that in 19. I'm sorry, let me see. Uh, 19, 1980, 89, somewhere around
Wow.
there. Yeah.
So you've been for that long ago?
Yeah,
Yeah.
1988, 89, I started teaching. I started developing a group, and
Okay.
then I would take my group over to Manong Angel for review.
Oh, so
And
he could see. Okay. All right. All right.
yeah, yeah.
Wow.
So
So were you? So I mean, was it fair? And I want to get to present day, of course. But back then, throughout the '90s, up until his death, were you just teaching his system?
uh, I was teaching predominantly Serrata. Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Even
Okay.
today, I see it's predominantly Serrata.
Predominantly that. Okay.
Yeah, and
All
then
right. Okay.
we use and we're like many of the styles in Stockton. We use Serrata as a template to teach the other style. Specifically the Cadiz Lapu Lapu. We use the Serrata template to teach it. The only thing that's different would be the Largo Mano one, which is the Talawan. That's entirely different. Yeah,
Man,
yeah. So,
stuff like I just found amazing. Um, have you, I'm gonna get, this is gonna kind of be a good time for Jack's second question. Uh, all right, Carlito, who were your biggest influences after GM Cabales?
uh, You know what, man? There's a lot. I mean, one of the biggest influence was my father. He's the one that directed me to study with different things and
Yeah.
encouraged me. And then, oh my gosh, Bruce Lee, man. At that time, in the early '70s, we just
God,
loved
we're
Bruce
all, huh?
Lee. A lot of us got into martial arts because of that.
Yeah.
And first the Green Hornet, then into his movies. And
I know,
so
right? I know.
yeah, but then. Yeah, then it was just then I fell in love with Serrata.
Mm.
But I just got to tell you, man, I have a lot of respect, and I honor the other masters that came out of Stockton, because they were just great people. And
Yeah, yeah, the
they were powerful in their techniques.
legends, you know.
Yeah, and yeah. So my gosh, my other influence, I was, oh my gosh, man. I know one thing though. Who motivates me are my students, man. They give me a lot of motivation. It's
Yeah,
just,
inspiration. Yeah,
definitely. It's just right
yeah.
now the direction I'm heading is to build my organization, so that way I have something to leave behind. For
Oh,
them.
fantastic.
For
Yeah,
them.
yeah. Oh, wow. Yeah, yeah. Actually,
So
we're gonna get to your goals. All right. So that was those were great questions from everybody, and thank you everybody who did submit questions. Thank you. Uh, okay. So all right. So now, okay. So present day, as you mentioned, so you're pretty much you're teaching just Harada and all that. But it sounds like, I mean, it sounds like you're revered. I mean, this community. I mean, you're doing seminars. It sounds like you're obviously like everybody else. Most people, you're teaching online now.
yeah, doing some Zoom classes. Yeah, yeah, yeah. After we were told to stay home, man, then I started getting requests and to do Zoom, and so So just so we just started Zoom classes, man, and we have
I know, no,
groups,
everybody.
and so I
Yeah,
do group classes and private lessons through Zoom.
yeah,
And so I didn't open it up, it's just the people that I know,
yeah.
and but if anyone wants to join any of our classes, they just have to reach out to me on Facebook, and we'll talk. I get to know you, you get to know me,
Yeah.
and if everything goes well, then we can have a relationship
That's
and see.
fantastic. That's good. You do
Yeah.
the screening too. You
What's
know,
that?
you do the screening too, right?
Oh, absolutely, man. And the
Good for
thing though is
you.
this.
Good for
Yeah,
you.
it
Yeah,
has to be a fit. It has to be a fit.
yeah. Good
It's
for you.
just
Yep.
different personalities. And
Good for
I
you.
just learn. It's just you can't.
Yeah.
You know,
Right, you're just right. You can't just like
uh,
grab any Joe Schmo and just start teaching them. Yeah, no. I think that's great that you have checks and balances instilled and you check. Yeah, I think that's fantastic. You know what, sir? I think I got a couple more questions.
okay.
uh, okay. So, okay. Twan Jack loves this. He loves your interview.
Oh yeah, I love that. Oh man, yeah,
uh, yeah,
Tuhan Latour, man. He's oh my gosh,
yeah.
amazing man.
I
I love.
know what he's doing, huh? His name was friend of Dante. This is interesting. His name was Nick Edori, and it was a friend Ettore Revelar. Nick called it Serrata, so Angel took the term Serrata.
Oh, is that right? The man's name was Nick, huh?
Okay, all
Oh,
right.
fantastic.
So
Oh,
yeah,
good to know.
and
Yeah,
that's Dennis. Thank you, Dennis.
yeah.
Um, hey, Thomas Pena. How are you, buddy? All right, we got. Can you show one of the stories? Okay, I have a question from Anthony DeSaro. Manal Carlito, can you share or are you comfortable sharing one of the stories you have of a non angel sparring or play fighting that you witnessed? Any
Oh,
story?
that wasn't play fighting. That was an outright challenge.
Oh,
Yeah.
are you comfortable sharing?
And Manong Angel came out on top. And we still have a relationship with that gentleman, so I'm not going to share that online. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So come to my seminar, and then we'll have a drink afterwards, and then you give me enough
And
whiskey.
behind closed doors, we'll get into that story. No, absolutely. Respect. Totally appreciate that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
But Manong Angel came out on top.
so all we know is that he did well. Okay. All right. So you have I got a couple things for closing. Do you but yeah, whatever you have first for this is oh, I know I just want to say in advance, just thank you. This has been absolutely wonderful.
Oh,
It's been
thank you.
incredibly informative. But whatever you want to do for demo, whatever.
Yeah. Yeah. I have my friend here, my longtime friend, and
Oh, all right. Yeah.
my assistant, and
All
he's
right.
been awesome. He's been with me for a long time, and he knows so much. And his name is Sambat Samboon, and he's been with me for a long time, and I love him like a brother.
Oh,
So
wow. Obviously, it sounds like
yeah.
he's in good hands with you. So, all
Yeah.
right.
So
So,
anyway,
wherever you want to show.
yeah. So we'll do something. I'll kind of like go over help with yeah. So we'll come over here.
All right. You guys are perfect. If you guys stay right there, we're good.
All right.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
We good here?
Yeah, absolutely. Yep.
Good. So we've been, okay. Yeah. So we'll we'll just show you a little bit. I'm gonna have him do some techniques. He's gonna
Okay.
do some outside block techniques, a series of them. Okay. That's outside block. Okay. So this outside block. Okay. All right. Different ways of combining. 1 second. Okay.
Okay.
Oh. I know Guru somebody is wearing a mask, so but
I know, huh?
yeah,
The
I'm
things
a,
we have
I'm
to
a
do
high risk
today.
category man.
Yeah.
So, all right. So anyway, this outside. Okay. Okay, now he's going to go to the inside. Then we'll go to the other side. And then wait a little bit. Okay, opposite side. Okay, so I'm going to slow this down a little bit so you get an idea. Like for instance, over here, a little bit right here somewhere. Can you still see us?
Yeah, no, we're fine. Oh, yeah.
Okay. For instance, give me a strike. So this is on the outside block here. So I'm training to go outside.
Okay.
And then I'm going to do a counter. Okay. So let's explain this. There's this number 2 counter. Okay. And then I'm going to finish. Okay. Yeah. So and then give me it. So here. Okay. Here. Okay. And then here. All right. Okay. But if he's the one attacking, and I open up with he opens with a one, I open with a outside block, he hits, I'm probably going to get hit. Okay? Right? But the way the combination is worked, used combatively, 1, 2, right? 1, 2. So he hits, so I'll take him down, here's the 1. 1, 2.
Okay.
Okay? All right? So that's the outside block. Right? Okay, next one. This is a roof block. 1, 2, right here. Okay, again. Roof block. Okay, here. Okay. But used combatively, I would go to the arm. Okay, or the other one is I would come out here. Okay.
Okay.
All right. Okay. So and then I'll show you another thing.
Sure.
Like my block is here. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, the main ones are here. 1 and 2. Okay, 1 and 2. The other one is this. The other one is The other one is 3. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So 3 and 4, right? 3 and 4. So this is 1. I'm sorry. This is 1 and 2, right? Okay, and then the next one is 3 and 4. So the way that you this, okay, all right, 1 and 2. The first move, 1, 2, okay, and then the 3, 4 right here is this. Boom, boom. Okay, all right. One more. Boom, boom. Okay, and so that's how it's applied.
Awesome. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Oh, yeah. No, thank you. Oh, and please.
So that's how you start picking which part of the combination you're going to use combatively.
Okay.
So
That was great.
I mean, I might combine a whole bunch of different things. I'll pull from a roof block. I'll pull from an inside block. And
awesome. So let me just see. What you were insensitive from your saying. So from Tuan Jack, for a second, I thought you were insensitive from your sign saying FAT.
What was that again?
The sign behind you.
Oh.
So.
Oh, it's EAT. We're in the kitchen.
Yeah, we're just seeing the yeah. Thank you. That was great. Thank you for the demo. Thank you.
Oh, good.
So
I'm glad you did that.
So what are your what are your goals? So like now and hopefully, thank God, if we get through this pandemic anytime soon. So what are your goals, sir?
Yeah, I think I'm gonna continue to do local efforts here, and develop a good team here. And the one that's spearheading that is Master Sambat. He's the one teaching that. And so most of my classes are private, and most of my students come from other schools and from other styles. They cross train, and even before the pandemic hit, I was already making plans to do some online classes, and so I'm going to start doing an online program, and so it's going to be membership based, and then we will do lessons, do what we can online to develop
Sure.
instructors, and then follow that up with immersion courses, or as we build enough in one area, then we do a seminar in that area, and so, but there's a lot of people that I built relationships with that
Yeah.
maybe came from another instructor and but are teaching, and would be willing to help my students if I had, if I have, like, for instance, a Tony DeSaro, he was just on here and asked a great question, and so if I have somebody in this area, I would ask him to help them out,
Oh, okay.
and then they have Granville Steel out there in Pennsylvania,
Mhm.
and then we have other. I got Chris Nally out there in Georgia, in that area,
Okay.
and we have Bob Steins in Florida, and so we just have different people that we have access to, that we built relationships over the years, and we'd like to, so they're part of the organization, and then at the same time build locally. That's going to be our
Yeah,
base,
yeah, yeah.
and Sambat's doing a great job with that.
Sounds like great goals. Yeah.
Yeah.
Covering online. God knows how long. I mean, hopefully this is going to end soon, and we all get back to some sense of normality. But I think the whole online presence, I think that's going to stay with us. I think that's going to change the landscape
I
of
think
martial
so.
arts in a lot of
Yeah.
ways. I don't think that's going away. I think,
No.
yeah.
Yeah, because there's a lot that you can do. I mean, there's a lot of things you can't
I
do.
agree.
There's
I agree. Yeah. Yes. And
and
the more seasoned you are, and the more experience you have, I think it's a great tool.
Yeah, absolutely. I tend to look at the positive things. What can
Yeah.
I do to make a difference, with the situation we're in,
Sure.
you
Sure.
know? And so, that's my thought on that.
Yeah.
You know?
I totally agree with you. I think it's here to stay. I think it's a great tool if you know how to use it to supplement stuff and all that. No, I think I agree. Just lastly, what are your goals? I mean, we already went over your goals. Just as a whole in our community, what would you like improvements would you like to see collectively as far as our community goes?
You know, um, Jack Latour, right now, Juan Jack and Paul Rubio, they collaborated on this idea of
Mm,
doing the Carenza Worldwide Carenza Project, and that's doing so much to bring the martial arts together, man. And so so that's what it's about. I think here locally, I think there's a lot of us that can work together to bring some unity, and so, I mean, for whatever reason, some of us are divided, but there's if we there are areas where we can work together,
agreed.
and I definitely would like to see that, and so I'm really motivated by seeing things like
Yeah,
that,
isn't that something? I know.
and there's just so many things that we can do, and we'll be so much more powerful if we're united, and if
Agree.
we're helping each other out, because the guys on the East Coast, no matter what style you practice, if you're doing something there, and we can invite you
Mm,
here and hold an event to help support you, and then we do the same thing there, and it will just bring so much of unity together, man,
yeah,
and let us see what the other people are doing,
I
so
agree. It's yeah, I'm with
yeah,
you. You know what I mean? It's we need to. You know what I mean? You know?
yeah, we need to. I mean,
Yeah.
there's people doing that now,
I think so. Yeah.
yeah,
I think this, I hate to say this, but there's always something that good that comes out, unfortunate bad stuff. And I think the good for our community is that, like, you're seeing, like, again, what you mentioned what Tuhan is doing, you know what I mean? Like, I think it gives people a chance to just sit and, like, breathe and all that, and just, focus on other things and all that. And I think stuff like he's doing, bringing everybody together and all that, people seeing different people from different systems, doing stuff. And no, I think it's a great thing. I agree with you. Yeah. Well, this has been absolutely wonderful. I want to thank you so much for this. I really do. I truly enjoy this. Any closing thoughts, Maestro?
Uh, Man, uh, yeah, work hard. If you're doing Filipino martial arts, work hard, learn as much as you can, and share. And I think that's very important.
Yeah,
That we share. I mean, there's too many things that are pulling us apart right now.
yeah.
And we can't let those things win. And so if there's other things that can unite us, hey, I mean, it's just we might not agree on everything, but if we can start sharing and get to know each other as a person, some of those things might heal itself, man.
It's
And
well said. I agree. Yeah, yeah. No, that was wonderfully put. Yeah. I know. Hopefully, again, with this pandemic and people more utilizing online now ever than ever before, I think again I'm hoping I'm right, but I'm starting to see some assembly of people more so than ever coming together.
sure, yeah.
Honestly, I'm seeing it like on like some of the forums and all that.
Oh yeah,
I see
yeah.
less and
Oh,
less like
yeah, man. There's a lot of people out there that are doing some great things, man.
yeah,
You know,
yeah.
just yeah,
No, the
great
good
people.
definitely is outweighing the bad. Yeah.
Amazing
Wow.
thing.
Well, again, I want to thank you so much. So what I do is what I hear is I basically download it, transfer it to YouTube, and then of course I'll send you the YouTube. And I'll post it to your wall and what have you, and all that. But this could be, yeah. This, I mean, there are a lot of comments, so so I thought you did fantastic. Thank you
Oh,
again
thank
for
you.
coming on. Yeah,
Oh man, yeah. It's just I made a lot of connections over the years, and it's just my gosh, there's some amazing people. I just love everybody, man.
yeah.
Yeah,
Well, I can see why you're so liked. I can see
hey.
that. So,
Yeah, I love everybody. Some I have to love at a distance, but I love everybody.
but even though it's at a distance, might be virtual, but but the love is there.
That's right. That's right.
Well, all right, sir. Well, thank you. I salute you. Thank you for coming on here. I enjoyed it. It was very informative, and the comments reflect that. And bravo. Thank you again.
All right. Can't wait to see the comments.
Oh
So
yeah, yeah.
yeah.
No, there's a lot of them. So yeah, grab a beer and pull up, and yeah.
All right.
All right, sir. Thank you so much.
All right. I got to get together with Terry Joven, man. They got some. They got the food over there.
I'm telling you, like I told him.
Huh?
I told him
What?
he needs to go on Food Network. He could do
No
a
kidding.
grilling and a training session. It'll be like FMA training with grilling.
Yeah. No kidding. He's
I'm
amazing.
telling you, man.
Amazing man. Yeah.
God, every
So
time I see a picture or video after they train, he's ribs, whatever, like a whole full cookout. You know what I mean?
yeah. Yeah. Yeah, Terry knows my family, and I don't know if he's still training there. One of my cousins trained with him, and trained
Okay.
with those June and those guys. And but Terry, he comes to a family function, man. So yeah, so we'll eventually make him a Bonjoc, you know.
Yeah, well,
But he's an awesome guy, man. Great guy.
yeah,
Yeah,
man. That guy, the guy in the grill.
yeah.
Filipino martial arts and grilling. I can
That's
see it
right.
now. Food Network. All right, sir. Take
All
care.
right, sir. Thank you,
Good
Dave.
night.
All right. Good night, everyone. Thank you. Bye bye.
Bye. All right. Thank you all those who sent in questions and all that. What a fantastic episode. Sounds like a wonderful human being as well. Next week, mine our niece, Chad Bailey and Brian, Thursday. And I'm trying to think if I'm missing anything. I think that's it. They're both going to be coming on, talking about Marnice, and demos, of course, giving their own each and perspective on master presses and all that. So that should be a good one. Uh, both are masters in their system and all that. But again, thank you for all tuning in and.